right, gang, welcome back to another Wake Up Humans podcast. I don't even know what number we're on right now, but we got a heck of a lot of podcasts through the years. I want to thank everybody for following us. It's been absolutely amazing and a lot of fun. And tonight we've got a special topic that we're going to be going through. We're going to be diving deep into something that's affecting a lot more chiropractors than we could ever imagine, and it's called burnout. We believe the solution isn't very complicated, though, and it's all about alignment,
Mhm.
physically, mentally, and spiritually. So, what the three key components that we're going to discuss tonight is living clear, living with a clear atlas, connecting to your passion and purpose in life, and proper rest and a power of a tribe, which to me is absolutely massive. So, let me welcome my man, Dr. Drew Henderson. What's up, brother?
What's up, my man? What you doing? It's another
Uh,
Tuesday.
what's going on with those glasses, the way they're hanging off your head there, bro? You're
Yeah,
like
I
a
mean,
crazy librarian.
I got. Hey, you never know. You never know. But burnout is it's a, it's a real serious topic, man, within our
Yeah.
profession. Like people
Yeah.
come out of school 3 years in, they're getting burned out.
Earlier and earlier, we're seeing it.
Yeah, and and you're in longer than me. I've been in almost 20 years, and I'm more fired up now
It's
than
amazing.
when I graduated. It's just like I want to do more,
Yeah.
and the three things you talked about, like living clear, having a clear brain stem, having your tribe, and then your passion and purpose. Um, that's really all that we live. Like we keep ourselves well adjusted.
Yeah.
We're connecting to our passion and our purpose. That's wake up humans.
Right.
Let's wake up humans. And our tribe is DE,
100%.
and
100%.
if we know the detrimental effects of a brainstem subluxation, when you get that medullary lock,
Yeah.
we know what that happens. And we can't do that to ourselves.
Right.
Like how are we taking care of people when we're subluxated?
100%. So we'll break it down step by step and we'll go through it. But I also want to address before we get rolling here is there's a difference between being tired and burned out.
Mhm.
Like I just traveled all weekend. I was in Illinois, spoke at an amazing event, met some amazing people, but it was a hell of a trip. I mean, it was connecting flights, 4 hour layover in Atlanta, hanging out at the Delta Club, just trying to drink a lot of water. And by the time I got back home Sunday, you're up late talking to people. Um, Monday morning I had to get up early, go to the gym, but I fasted all day Monday. Like I have a system in place
Mhm.
that I was still tired, but I certainly wasn't burned out. And we had, I was in the office alone Monday. Our associates are Dr. Alex is on his honeymoon and Dr. Mike hasn't started yet. And we had a busy day, man. We were banging it. We were hustling. It was great.
That's awesome. And people's like, it's kind of a joke. It's not a joke. I stay tired a lot of the times. I'm tired, man, but I love it too at the same time.
Right. Look
There's
at today,
there's
man.
that.
It's 7 o'clock at night. We just got done work and we have this. We're going to do this for about 45 minutes, an hour. And then we got to jump on our DE board call. And then I get done with that. And I got two consulting calls I got to do. I mean, it'll be 11 o'clock by the time I leave the building tonight.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I went and got me something quick to eat just because I got to
I
eat.
forgot
You
to
know, I
do
had a I
that.
had a phone call at lunch to get on. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh man, it doesn't stop. I haven't left the office since 7:30 this morning.
Yeah.
And it's 7:07 now. Like
Yeah.
it's and be here another hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's great. I love it. I'm not complaining.
Yeah. My juices are already flowing, man, just talking to you because I found myself, we got this group that I was speaking in front of the other day, and I had a whole, it was a CEU event. I had a whole presentation event, and the whole thing took a right-hand turn, and I was fired up, and, I didn't need notes. I didn't need slides. I kind of just rifled through them. I'm like, guys, I have all this stuff for you, but we're going in another direction just from the feel of the room.
Mhm.
But I will tell you, and we're going to get into the Atlas right now. I don't know how many times I go to an event and people will say, "Can you check me?" And I'll say, "Absolutely. What's your Atlas listing?" Right. So we're going to talk about Atlas first, and we want to talk about, how does a subluxation, especially of the Atlas, contribute to mental and emotional burnout to chiropractors? I mean, we're talking about chiropractors. We're not even talking about patients. But what I'm finding is a lot of these chiropractors, they don't get checked regularly.
No.
It's almost, I tell you, one thing I've noticed is they see other chiropractors around them as competition
Hmm.
instead of creating camaraderie and friendship and a band of brothers, because you need someone to take care of you. And there's enough people in that community that we're not competing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the subluxation, the Atlas, how it affects the brainstem function and energy and everything.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest competition is me.
Yes.
If I would say percentage wise, people who are under good principled chiropractic care, less than 2% of the population.
Right.
That gives us 98% of the population to pull from. There's no competition. We need more chiropractors.
We need more.
And, if you're subluxated, especially at your brainstem, it's impossible for you to function the way we were created to function.
Right.
And if you got to serve at a high level, you have to function at a high level.
You got to be ticking at a high level, man.
Yeah. 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 It's no like just half-assed anything.
Right.
It's got to be on, and it's no like, you know, 15 after, 20 after today, people still trickling in. I love it. That's just their time is 20 minutes after we close. That's just their time. They work hour and a half away. And it's never like, oh man, I'm waiting on them. Like, oh yeah, this is the way I'm going to close out my day. Love
Right.
it.
And listen, you could be working out, eating well, fasting, doing all the things you think are right. But if you're subluxated and you're not clear, your systems are not connected.
Mm-mm.
And
No.
especially being the doctor that's educating your patients. Now, if we're not educating the patients on that, we could guess what that practice looks like. But if we're educating patients on that and not taking care of ourselves, it's going to show up in our own life.
Yep. Yep. Got this evening, 6:20. Um, checked him yesterday, or no, Thursday. And he was just like, yeah, man, I'm good. I just feel a little off.
Hmm.
I just feel a little off,
A
you know.
little.
Yeah, he just not hardly right. And he wanted to make sure he was clear. He's not going to get to come in the rest of the week. He just like, I just need to make sure I'm right.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that he gets it. Every one of them doesn't. We wish they would, but I love the ones that get it. Like, I just want to get checked,
Right.
make sure I'm good to go. But if they're subluxated, man, like you can see their lives just start going downhill when we haven't seen them in a year or two. Then you see them in the grocery store. How are you doing? Oh man, it's been bad. And we know that as patients, but it's the same thing for us.
Well, you know what I like to tell patients now? You do this for close to 30 years. You've had just about every conversation you could have, right? And if a
Mhm.
patient hasn't been in it a little bit, and they come in and they're apologizing, and then they want to tell you what's wrong with them, and I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what happened. And I let them go through their verbal vomit. And then I say, you know what it is? What? Lack of chiropractic care. And
Yeah.
and they like, you know what? You're right. I said, you decide what you want to do with it. Life's all about choices. I'm not here to sell you, but
Mm.
it's also, I get myself checked once to twice a week, every week,
Yep.
especially now with all the travel I do. It's a must.
Yep.
And I haven't been checked this week yet because I have no one, I've been in the office till late because I've been by myself. But tomorrow I'll be getting adjusted because we have Dr. Bill that joins us on Wednesday. I can't
Hmm.
wait. So I'll get checked on Wednesday and then I'll get checked in Florida on Saturday and I'm good. I'm primed, man. I'm ready.
Yeah. And we can't pour from an empty cup.
I love that. I love that.
Me too. Me too. It's just, and it's the truth, you know.
Eddie Martinez always says when you're clear, and he says it in such a great voice. And if you're clear and you're connected, everything will be all right.
Yep. Yep.
So
That's that's in one of our patient handouts quoted by Eddie Martinez.
love it.
Yep. I love that quote.
Peaceful warrior, man. I'll never forget. I remember the first time he said it from the platform, and it was just, and I think
Yep.
people took it and copied it and make a T-shirt. And of course, they don't get him credit, but that came from Eddie Martinez at DE, and
Yep.
it was obviously pivotal, and I love it. And I've used it thousands of times talking to patients and educating them.
Hmm.
It's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I
And
about just your own personal life experience that, you know, situations where we had to get checked and adjusted maybe extra because just the amount of stress in life.
yeah.
And, in the medicine cabinet, which doesn't exist in our household, is
Mm-mm.
not an option,
Mm,
you know?
no. Now my medicine cabinet got some vitamin C in it, you know. But like burnout, like you were saying earlier, burnout is not just being tired.
Right.
Burnout is being disconnected.
And that's it. And it starts internally.
Yep.
It's all internally,
Yep.
right? But it starts at the brainstem. And, so we got to think about, how many people listening to this have to look in the mirror and say, when was the last time I got checked and adjusted?
Hmm.
And I got to change that today. And I would
Yep.
tell people, start meeting people in your neighborhood, chiropractors, knock on their door, build a camaraderie, go to lunch, and start getting checked regularly by guys in your own town. I have
Hmm.
no problem telling people that I get adjusted, or I was in Glastonbury and I stopped by Doug's office to get adjusted. I've got no problem referring to people there. I'm like, if you want to go there, go there. They're
Yep.
not going to go there if they love who we are. It's not
Yep.
a competition. It
Mm.
just isn't.
And if they're happy somewhere else and get long-term care somewhere else, I'm good.
Well, what's the
I'm
big
good.
picture is to get the whole world under chiropractic care, right? Which we
Yep.
know the whole world won't, but we could try.
Yeah. And I think the biggest holdback is so many people want to become friends with their patients. And we love our patients. We go to weddings and baby showers and dance recitals and pee-wee football games. Like weekends are busy just doing things. But I don't need more friends. I don't have time for the friends I have.
Yeah, that's a great point too.
Like I want to take care of people, love them, serve them, be their chiropractor, and that's it.
One of the
And
best times I've had, and I tell people experiences all the time, was, I just wanted to get closer to you and learn more about you as our relationship was building. So I said, I want to come. And was it a DE weekend where I flew in early and stayed at your house
yeah, yeah.
and we just hung out?
And we just done nothing. And then you went to, I think you saw Sierra
Okay.
that day.
And I remember
Had a
waking up in the
game.
morning, having a cup of coffee, and I walked outside and there was a freaking bull or a monster cow staring at me. I'm
Yeah,
like, and you have a name for the thing. You're like, oh, that's like Roger. And you went and grabbed bread and came out and started feeding thing. I'm like, I would never experience this where I live.
yeah, and just simplicity.
Simplicity is what I learned.
I love the simplicity, man. And
Yep.
it's just get up, serve people, exercise a little, love on people, go to sleep and do it again. Like we've got the best life ever.
Well, let's talk about now number two, being connected to your passion and purpose. And we've already alluded to it. When you realize that burnout isn't just about being tired, right?
Yeah,
Being
yeah.
disconnected from your why.
Hmm.
I'll ask docs a lot of time when they first, they want help. And 9 times out of 10, it's just they're burned out, they're disconnected. And I'll say, why are you a chiropractor?
Hmm.
And very rarely are the ones that are coming asking you jump in and say, this is why I'm there to connect people to their passion, purpose, life, wake them up from within to crush their life. They stop to think and they're like, I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like their why, their purpose of getting out of bed every morning has just been buried. It's not gone. It's
Mm.
disconnected.
Yeah, they just lost it along the way.
Yeah.
It's almost like Hansel and Gretel when they're putting their bread out so they can get back home. They've lost their food out of their backpack, but they're just like, shoot, man, where did it go? Now I'm hungry and I don't know what to do.
I've never
And it
heard.
just, yeah, yeah. And it's just, you people got to get clear and know why we're putting our hands on people.
Right.
It's not to build insurance for a 98941 or 46 or whatever those are.
Yep.
It's not for that. It's to clear them out, reconnect them to a body physical, body spiritual. There's a life inside of us. God put there in Genesis 2:7 where he made us and breathed life into us. That can be interfered with. That's a subluxation.
Yeah.
An adjustment corrects that.
Right. When
I want to give as many of those as I can.
My topic for the weekend was mental illness in extreme cases, right? They got to give you a topic. I had to do 2 hours of CEU stuff. So with that, you've got to have stories and pictures and examples. And Michelle had put together a bunch of old patients' testimonials, whether someone was suicidal, cancers, seizures. But it's no different than when we adjust a patient who's just coming in to get clear.
Yeah.
It's the same process. But as I'm telling the stories, it makes me just like, and it seems new to a lot of these people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's all in our green books. It's all in our history. I talk about Clearview Sanitarium, and BJ's done it in the research clinic from 35 to 51. And he just gave us the answer of where the major problem is. Atlas.
Yep.
And how have we gotten disconnected as a profession, And it's, you go to people's websites and you see they're doing the ultrasound and the laser. And so I said to these guys, I'm like, do you think you can rub cream better than a physical therapist, or stretch them better than a massage therapist, or ozone them better than a physical therapist? Why not just be a chiropractor and turn their power on and have these same damn miracles that I'm talking about that happen in my office, and 90% of you are smarter than me?
Yeah. Yeah. And they could have that too.
Right.
That's the thing. It's not like, oh, Steve Judson's adjustments, or you need to fly in from Japan to get one of those. Clear is clear. If you're clear, you're clear.
Right.
Figure out how to do that, and do that 200 times a day.
That's it. And have an analysis to know when not to.
Yep.
Watch what happens. And, I just think what happens is people get into practice. And this hit me when I was talking is, you get out, you're excited, you want to help people, you hear stories while you're in school and go to seminars, and you go to DE and you hear the miracles. Now you go out and practice, and all of a sudden you start succeeding, and now you become an entrepreneur, you become a businessman, you become special. And then they consciously start getting buried in the mundane stuff. They start talking about, what are your metrics like in your office? And I'm like, what's your patient visit average? What are you doing? I'm like, I want to know how many people we're serving. I have my fee structure. It's solid, right? I don't have to look at that. A patient comes in, this is what you're paying, and we have 2 different options to pay. Done. I don't have to look at it. Now I want to know how many people can we serve, and is our energy doing it? But if we start getting bogged down in the metrics and the management stress and, chasing insurance because you're multi-billing and coding codes, I tell patients, I'll show them cards I get in the mail from companies. Do you want to make more money? How to bill and do all this laser and all this stuff. I said, they're not saying how to save more lives. They're saying how to make more money.
Yep.
And then the other thing I see is they compare, they're comparing themselves to other docs around them, especially you come to DE and you hear people up there talking about seeing hundreds and hundreds of people a week. And they're thinking, well, I can't do that. It's like, yes, you can. And we're here to help you do it.
Yeah. I mean, if I can do it, if you can do it, everybody else can do it.
Right.
But I'm a little country hillbilly. You were dyslexic growing up.
Yep.
They can do it. It just takes a little bit of commitment and discipline and consistency.
Discipline's huge. I think we lose discipline because 9 times out of 10 going through school, you're single or just dating, and your primary focus is chiropractic. And then you get out and practice, you get married, you start having kids. You got to be able to juggle. And that's an art. That's one of the things, and I think a lot of practice management groups set up on what's happening inside the office, day 1, day 2, selling, instead of their whole life.
Yeah.
Which is key. And that's what I learned at DE was balancing life. And a lot of it was, I'd hear a speaker say something, or I look at a Walter Sanchez who's been married for, 30 years. And I just ask them, how did
Mhm.
you do it? And they tell you.
Yep. Yep. It's and that's the thing at DE. If you go to DE, you don't really have to get a coach. The coaches are at DE.
Yeah.
You go eat with them.
Yep.
You stay up to 3 in the morning in the hall with them and break down your life and like figure out what you need to do and what you need to change, you
100%.
know. And and just that passion comes back.
Mhm.
I texted you the other day. I think we saw like 184 in the office. I left. I got up probably 45 minutes away. Um, Little college, adjusted like 17, 18 kids there in this little crappy apartment. Come back home, and I'm just like, I just wanted to make sure I broke 200. I wanted to serve people,
That's
and
awesome.
it's just I slept good and I ate terrible. I went to Captain D's, the one over there in front of the Walmart,
Good.
and got me like 6 breadsticks and an order of cheese sticks. I'm like, I am tired. I'm taking my ass home, eating breadsticks on the way home. And that's okay. I can't do that every day, but
Yeah.
I did it that Wednesday,
That's funny, man.
and it's but it fires me up. And like I told you, coming home, it does me more good to go see those young women than it might do them for me to come. Like it's just awesome. You know what I mean?
And listen, and I know how those adjustments are affecting those young girls. I know where some of them came from and what it took, especially for Sierra with the people she's connected with you. The beginning was her, then one, and then two, the conversations that took place, which is like, I was thinking about her the other day, just like the little leader she's coming into. I show up and I'm adjusting the coaches and the kids come running out of the locker room before the game. And I'm like, that's because she's connected them all to Drew. They're all talking, they're all educated properly, they see value in it. And as they become, moms someday, by the grace of God, it's part of their lifestyle to be getting their children and their spouse will be getting adjusted, which is
Yeah.
transformational.
Yeah.
So let's
Yep.
talk about now, like if someone is feeling burned out or disconnected, which is, I think, a better term. I don't like the word burned out, but it's about reconnecting to finding your passion and purpose as to why you're a chiropractor. What are some things, action steps people could take?
First, you got to make sure you're clear.
Yep.
Number one, you got to make sure you're clear. You got to write down your purpose. Write it down. Why are you doing what you do every day?
Journal. Get a yellow legal pad
Yep.
and write.
No matter how big or how little it is. Yellow
Amen.
legal pad. You
Yep.
know, we've got them all over the office
That's right.
just to jot something down. And you got to do that. And then third thing, you got to get your little tribe.
Yep.
You got to get your tribe. Those
We'll
three or four or
get
five
into that. We'll
people.
get into that to number three, man. But that's one of the biggest ones for sure. Is getting
Yeah,
to
I mean,
getting to the right events, that you're surrounding yourself with the right people.
yeah, and people that will hold you accountable and just not smack you on the butt and say good job.
Another thing is the green books. If you just start with Palmer's Law of Life,
Yeah.
and I love all Sid stuff, but Palmer's Law of Life. I told 20 people this weekend, because I'm amazed by how many people they went to Palmer and they haven't read any green books. So I said the simplest one is Palmer's Law of Life. It's like his last book. He just kind of put it all out there. This is his whole life coming down to. It's a small book.
Yeah. He started out, they're thick,
Yeah,
then they get thinner and thinner.
yeah, yeah. I like to start my mornings off with the Bible. You
Yeah.
don't have to be a Bible thumper, but for me, it just really gets me centered. I've actually
Yeah.
gotten back into the rosary. Matt Albert, who's been on here, I was raised
Hmm.
a Catholic boy. I'm really not anymore, but he's been after me. So I start off every morning with the rosary. And some days I'm like, why am I doing this? And I'm only doing it because Matt's holding me accountable. But it brings me to such a state of peace and focus and reconnection. I actually I enjoy doing it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And that's part of that discipline.
Yep.
what they say, 21 days in a row you do something,
That's right.
and that's it. And and if people listen to this and I don't know about the Bible, just read Proverbs. It's
Mm,
easy.
yeah.
So many. It's almost like BJ's epigrams
Right.
in
Right.
Proverbs.
Right. I
Like
love
just not. You don't have to get like deep in stuff until you want to, but just start with Proverbs. It's easy.
And another one is just take a break. Take a 4 day weekend. Go to
Yeah.
Sedona, Arizona, and walk around the Red Rock Mountains and have no agenda at all. Or go to the ocean and just get up early and walk and just eat if you're hungry and just chill. Do
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we need to do that. I know. When was it? I guess it was January or so. I had to fly out to um, Kansas for a funeral, and Denise Dobbs, her funeral,
Yeah.
and going out there. Usually playing. I have my Bose noise canceling stuff on, TV on captions, but then listen to music. And I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not turning on my TV, my headphones, my phone, anything. No looking out the window. I'm just raw dogging it out to Kansas and just spent time in thought the whole time,
Awesome.
and don't have to entertain yourself over and over and over and just listen to the roar of the engines and knowing where I was going and praying and meditating for those kids and Ryan and her family and his family and all the people, all the lives that she touched. And then you get there and you're just like, that was, you know, it was more of a spiritual moment than just physical.
Right.
We have to pull away sometimes.
One of the biggest things that people could do for themselves is just to sit in quiet and
Hmm.
listen. Sometimes I'll bring a yellow legal pad into my space. I'll write some things down and then put the pen down and just chill.
Yeah.
And sometimes big things drop in and I'll take the pen and write it down.
Yeah.
Sometimes I could barely read it, but it's in your subconscious mind.
Yeah. And I like to call it like easing into the day of the mornings. I get up a little after 5:15, um, let the dog out, fix my cup of coffee, go pee, come back, get my coffee. Dog comes in, he gets a piece of cheese. I don't turn the lights on. I sit in my chair with my cup of coffee and just wait till it kind of turns blue outside. And then I'll start, I might turn on the TV or whatever, but
I love
but
that
just
morning.
sit there.
That's
Yeah, just
awesome.
just to ease into the day. And you
Yeah.
have to get clear about why you're about to go to the office. Like why are we doing what we're doing?
And then get to the space where you're feeling it. And then you could get into the space with your office where it becomes a mission, not a prison.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
office and the journey with that is to be a mission mindset and you're not locked into a business or a
Mhm.
prison.
Yep. Yep. It's people talk about mission trips, and we've been on them together before. I love a mission trip, but the mission is within our four walls of the office.
1,000%. We've learned that and we've talked about that while on the mission trip. Like our
Yep.
mission, our true mission is home. Let's talk about the proper rest and where we're going to go with connecting to a tribe. And one of the things is, and I heard it a lot this weekend, is they feel alone or they feel like they're on an island, and this will lead to that burnout feeling because they're just disconnected and they feel all alone. And I tell them all, I said, look, I've got friends around where I live, but I've got most of my best friends live in other states and other countries.
Yep.
And we go
Yep.
out of our way to get together. We'll create weekends. We always meet up at
Hmm.
DE, which is where our tribe has developed. And then we'll create excursions where we get together. Our wives just did a girls' weekend away in Texas and had a great old time.
It looked like they had a good time.
These girls now had a fun, man. They're out of their mind. And then you can see the groups of guys, not all of us get together, but we've had our core group that gets together and does stuff. And that's so important. That's so important.
Yeah. And, people think that burnout is just overworking, but if you look at our hours that we're actively seeing patients,
Joke.
we're not working much, man.
I had a doc once when I would leave the office, would start telling patients how tired they were and I didn't sign up for this and I'm exhausted and I'm burned out. And I'd come back and they would, he was kind of whining and needs a break. I'm like, they work 17, 18 hours a week. So guys would start coming in who were dirty, big workers. And I said, how many hours a week you work? 90, 72, sometimes 80 to 98. And they're out working. I mean, they got dirt under their nails. They're exhausted and they're coming in getting adjusted so they could keep going and feed their family. To me,
Yeah,
that's work.
it
They could be
is.
standing over tables for 20 to 30 hours a week, drinking coffee, drinking water, chilling out, walking in a circle, listening to music. That's not, it's more the mental that we have to deal with. And you're dealing
Yeah.
with people's problems, which there's an art to deal with that, which is why we go to DE and we learn the 49 breaths and we have our ways of being connected to our purpose and our why. So that doesn't overwhelm you.
Yeah, and it's not just a perception of overworking, it's underconnecting,
Yeah. That's a big,
and it just we have to stay connected. And it can be just a text. It can just be like, look, here's a YouTube video, here's a 30-second video, here's a song. It don't have to be like a 3-hour conversation on the phone to be connected.
right.
It can just be a little something, you
Right.
know. We gotta sleep. We gotta get
Yeah.
rest,
I
you know.
listen, I started sleeping more when I had kids. People say, well, once you have kids, you don't sleep. Dude, I'd lay down to put them in a nap and I'd fall asleep with them. They'd go to bed at night. Me and Tammy would be like, let's go lay down. We go lay down, you know, have sex, fall asleep, and it's 9:30. I'm like, I never went to bed at 9:30, you know.
What's wrong with you?
I'm like,
Yeah,
we're not like TV watchers or we're gonna watch a series. We'd hang out, be talking. I'm like, let's go to bed. Like, let's cuddle. And now I'm gonna fall asleep. And I was getting more sleep back then, even now. Like I like to have a good night's sleep and get up early and get rolling again. Like
yeah,
after
and
tonight, man, my head's gonna hit the pillow. I'm gonna be done.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna eat during our next call because I
Yep.
can mute myself, and then I eat supper then, and then when that's over, go to bed.
What do you got prepared for supper tonight?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I hadn't even made it home. Whatever's there. I think I
Dude,
have some old
I got it
lasagna.
ready. I got to heat it up. It's some spicy chicken cutlets with some eggs, all mixed up. I can't wait to dive into it.
Oh, dude, that's good.
Yeah.
And and talking about rest, I used to think that I was losing something when I would sleep, like I'm losing time. But I love racing, and to go faster, they need to make a pit stop.
That's great. Yeah.
It's just a pit stop.
Yeah.
So then I can wake up the next morning and go.
Right.
Get refueled, get new tires, clean my windshield off. Let's go.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
I like that pit stop analogy, man. That's a good one.
it is.
So let's talk about the power of a tribe. I think that's one of the most important thing that I'm seeing people are missing because the tribe
Mhm.
can help you pull this all together.
Yeah.
Give you the conversational piece to connect so you're not on an island. You could text, phone call. I mean, I gave my number out to people this weekend. I said, I'm free. Call me, text me, whenever you want. And listen, I know I've started a consulting coaching program, whatever. I got more people that I do it for free. I'm not there selling people. I had some
Yeah.
amazing connections where I had a call with a guy this morning. I got one tonight that wants to go through some stuff in her brain that she heard me say. I'm not going to sell on a program,
Mm.
right? My whole thing is go to lifede.com and get to DE
Yeah.
and come talk. I'll point out 30 people that you heard me talking about fired up. I got 30 people for you to talk to that we could get this done together, which is really just pulling you off the island and then throwing you back on the island fired up and then pull off the island and connect to your why and our chiropractic purpose, right? Which is why we do that whole principal chiropractors. What is your profession? It's because that's what we're fighting for with DE.
Yeah.
And that's what the
Yeah.
tribe gives to people.
Yep. 300. I would rather have 10 super committed friends to each other
Yeah.
than 5,000 acquaintances,
Amen.
and that, principled chiropractors, it's all about 300.
Yep.
Like those 300 changed everything.
So what I tell people, a good place to start is start with 3
Yep.
and be committed. Because one of the things I found with people is they feel weak reaching out for help.
Hmm.
And I'm like, we've all been there. We're all weak. I'm always reaching out for help. It's just different things. It's
Hmm.
it's at a different level, but I've been where you are. And by
Yep.
showing up to DE, I just worked through it quicker and quicker and quicker. I mean, I had conversations with docs years ago, and the doc would say to me, I just took 10 years of misery off your practice. And it's
Hmm.
true.
Yep.
And
Yep. And, like none of us have our crap together.
no,
None of us. Like
I think we have our crap together, but we have crap.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we've got stuff that we're trying to
Yeah.
to improve and get better on. DD Umber, he don't even have to come to DE, but he's there at every single one, with his notepad taking notes.
Yeah.
He's taking notes, and he's 90 whatever, um, but he's still trying to get better. He knows he doesn't.
What's he, 92 now?
Yeah, 92, man. Still taking notes at DE. When Sigafus was there, he would have a little sheet of paper. He'd just jot down his notes in the back.
Amazing. And he'll be on our call tonight.
Yeah, yeah. It's um, you look back on it and like DD Umber is one of my friends.
Yeah.
Like, how awesome is that?
Yeah.
You
You
know,
know, there's a thing that happens with people in life where, um, they someone passes away and they want to post a picture with them to say, "Hey, I knew them."
hmm
Right? Or it's like the person that one of my patients. It's been a patient of mine since he's like 1.5, 2 years old. Just got drafted by the Cowboys, right? And I'll post a picture with me and him, but I'm adjusting them. Like I'm not
yeah,
just doing it like because I went to an event that I paid $2,000 for a charity and I got to take a picture with them. I don't care
hmm
about that. Like that, I have no relationship with the person. We got to build better relationships, and you got to build them with better, stronger people and get better proximity to them. And like you said, Didi Umber's a friend. Like imagine what you've learned from him just through conversations and breaking bread with him and being with him through so many situations in life.
yeah. It's just and you only get that. I've only got that, um, being disciplined and consistent at Dynamic Essentials. I
Right.
was there. First time I really had a real meaningful conversation with Dr. Umber. I was in school. He had this old digital camera that you put the little floppy disk into the camera. It died. I had a camera with me. I went over there nervous. I mean, I was probably shaking. I'm like, this is Dr. D.D. Umber, Vice President of Academic Affairs at Life University. I'm
Right.
like, hello, Dr. Umber. I see your camera's died. Would you like me to start taking some pictures? He said, oh, I would love that.
By golly.
And that's it. That's how it started.
Because of your serving hand and what you saw. I told them all this weekend, watch the movie Patch Adams.
Yep.
And my favorite scene in the movie is when Patch is in the psychiatric hospital and there's that doctor that's a patient there that is tired of talking to people because it's just their conversations are miscellaneous and don't add value to his life. And Patch is in his room and the guy's got a coffee cup on the table and it's leaking. The bottom is leaking. So Patch takes a little sticker and patches it to stop the leak. He just saw the problem, just did it for him to help him. And the guy turns in his chair and realizes that what his service heart just did, there was a connection. And the biggest thing this guy says, and you can go on YouTube and just put up Patch Adams 5 fingers, and he holds his hand up and says, Patch, what do you see? And Patch goes, 5 fingers. He goes, no, look deeper, look beyond. And then he sees through it. And he said, that's the problem is people aren't looking beyond. Like we're not looking beyond just the mundane, what we think is the problem. We got to look deeper. And that's how he got his nickname Patch. He started calling him Patch because he patched his cup. And this is a true story. I met Patch Adams. I hung out with him.
Yep. Yep. And Dr. Sid and Patch were friends.
Yeah, that's how I met him. Sid flew him in to speak at assembly. Sid had me pick him up from the airport, and I had to hang out with him for like 3.5 hours. So we went to eat and hung out and spoke. I got pictures of
That's
me and
all.
him together. He had
That's
long
awesome.
hair. His hair was like blue, and he was a funky dude, man. He was cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And our buddy Andy Andrews, the noticer,
yeah,
same type of thing. Like notice those little things.
yeah.
It's yeah, I love that book. Love Patch Adams, love that movie.
Great movie.
Um it just yeah, it is. It is. But it's just connecting with people. That's the thing, it's connection. And
Yeah.
if you're disconnected, man, you can't live right. You can't serve right. You can't lasting purpose right.
No, no. And
You know,
burnout's not inevitable. There's going to be days you're just going to be burning out, tired, whatever you want to call it. It's just a sign that you're out of alignment. There's just something just out of alignment that you've got to pay attention to. It's like a symptom. We tell patients symptoms are great. They're telling you something's out of alignment, something's not connected. And you just have to
yeah.
course correct. You have to make changes. You got to take action. And then the world, the world needs us at our best, especially being chiropractors. We got to be clear and connected, energized, and we got to be the greater energy in the office. You can't go in low vibration, low energy because people aren't going to heal. You have to be
Mm,
the greater energy. The greater energy always wins. And if it's a negative energy overpowering the negative, it's going to win. And we can't
whatever it
let that
is.
happen. There's lives at stake.
Yep. And I'm always gonna have more fire than anybody else has water. You know,
What a
I've
great
always
one.
got more fire.
Damn,
You know,
Drew.
and I'm working on I got to get my words in the right order. But basically it's a bad day is not a mental condition.
Say that again.
A bad day is not a mental condition.
Hmm.
Like we can have a bad day. That doesn't mean that there's some kind of psychosis going on and we feel heavy, and it's just like, man, that's a bad day. That was a rough day.
Yeah,
I had a lot of emotions that day, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. It just heavy that day. And
that's
that's
life.
okay.
That's
Yep.
life. That's what it is. It's life. I've been telling
Yep.
my
And
kids, they're little kids. Life sucks. Move on. You're gonna have days that just suck, but get up and do it all again the next day.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, Saturday, this guy was mad at me driving. He trying to turn. I couldn't go up any further. Guy with a ladder. He was like 8 feet, 8 inches from my windshield. Guy's truck was shaking. He was so mad at me. He pulled up to me. He is MFing me, everything else. And I'm just like, bro, listen, I don't care that you're mad. I didn't do anything wrong. Like, you're not going to ruin my day. It don't matter with me if you're mad.
Chill out.
Like, I'm good. I'm just trying to go to auto parts store. You
Yeah,
have a good day.
you typically have a gun on your dashboard too, so people should be really.
I might have had my hand on it just in case. you know, I
You're
didn't
no
know if,
dummy. Be prepared.
yeah, I don't have time to go to a funeral, man.
Yeah. So we just want to encourage the listeners, just, assess your situation in life, where you are today, and your connection to your purpose, which is huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Spiritually is one of the biggest ones, or the biggest one, I would say. Reach out to someone, make a commitment right now that you're going to reach out to one person that you feel you could connect to and shed
Hmm.
some husks and start building your tribe. Go to
Yeah,
lifede.com and let's see you at a meeting. Tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, man, I took action. I'm here. And then stay connected. One of the biggest things we're trying to do is stay connected to people. And the ones that keep coming back and showing up, we help them build a tribe and we watch their life change. And of course, get your atlas checked, man. Get checked. If you're going to be
yeah,
doing it to all your community, get checked regularly every
yeah.
week.
By somebody other than yourself.
Yeah. You can't adjust yourself.
No, and if you need something, um, just call, text. It's okay. You know, you're not in this alone. That's
You're
for
not
sure.
alone. We
You
don't
know,
want you to be alone.
yeah, you're not. Like tons of people are dying to help you at DE.
And there's something it's been really on my heart. You don't have to be a born again, saved Christian, Bible thumper person to come to DE.
No,
Right?
has nothing to do with that.
It's just because the words come out of our mouth, it's who we are. But some of my best friends are atheists, agnostics, whatever, that have doubt. I could care less.
Yeah.
It's like the gym
Yeah.
should be full of fat people trying to get in shape.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
people in shape should be trying to help the fat people get healthier and get in shape. And it's just the people that are connected spiritually, realizing that that may be the better walk in life, want to help people get there. But if they don't want it, we're not going to shove it down their throat. And DE is not a church. We
No,
got people getting
not,
up there that are all walks in life, man, because I get up there and I have a worship song or something. It's not that I'm trying to convert someone, but I'm trying to pull something out of you. And I think that's one of the best ways to do it. But I'm
yeah.
not going to go and start, creating myself as this. I want to just be around Christians because I'm trying to build a business off. No, that's not what it's about. Be you.
Yeah.
Part of the
And
journey.
yeah, and just on the platform at DE, we have Christians, we have atheists, agnostics, Jews, and Muslims all on the platform.
Facts.
You
What do you
that's
think's the
just what
common
it
thread then?
is.
What's the common thread we have then? What would you say?
Service and lasting purpose, giving, loving, serving, doing out of your own abundance, and a tribe of love and commitment and brotherhood and sisterhood. And we're
Amen.
connected. I'm getting chills now, man.
Wow. I'm
I'm
ready to
getting
jump out
chills.
of this chair,
Dang.
brother. Love.
Oh,
Love is the biggest thing that I feel in the
it
room.
is.
I have friends that they're challenged by the faith thing because of past experience in life, but do more good for people than some of the Bible thumpers I know that are
Yeah.
doing some crazy stuff. And
Yep.
they have every right to challenge the faith because they see that. And I'm like, don't look at them, look at your own life. We can't judge anybody, and we're all human and we're silly, but love for just each other and humanity, man.
Yep. I know one, you know one too. I could call right now and be like, dude, I need you over here. He'd drive 2 hours and
Yep.
come right now. And if I said, hey man, I need 150,000 bucks, I would have it in the morning.
Yeah. And he's got it because he's freaking successful.
Yeah. And and he's not Christian.
Nope.
It has nothing to do with that. He's one of my best friends. I would do anything for him. And I
You
know
ever
he
see
would
that,
me.
you ever see that video where it's from a movie, and I think it's Ben Affleck, and he says to the guy, "Hey, listen, I need you to take a ride with me. We need to go someplace, and I can't tell you what we're doing, but it's going to get ugly." And the guy said, "Okay, when do we leave?" He doesn't ask questions.
Mm-mm.
You ever see that scene?
No,
Oh man, I'll find it. And I've sent it to that guy. I've sent it to, a couple people to share it with them. Because these, we've got a handful of us, like you, Eddie, Brian, that people that we know, Balsamo, that if we called, they'd be on a plane. Like if you
Yep.
called us and said, "Hey guys, I need help."
Yep.
Okay, where are you? We're there.
That's it.
And that came through the DE experience, man. There's no way
Mhm.
around. There's no way around it. Like, and the beauty of it is we could sell DE, man, from the because we're not making a dime off of it. So our attachment to it is watching people's lives open up in a loving, nurturing environment, and they get clear and connected and live a better life, a chiropractic lifestyle that changes not only millions of people's lives but their own life.
And we want people to have what we have found there.
That's right.
It's not what necessarily we have, it's what we have found at DE. And it's still there, stronger than it's ever been.
Amen, brother. Put a fork in it. Listen, people. Share this podcast, get people following, help us build this thing up and get it out there to humanity and the profession to reach more people. Whatever you got to do, like, share, hit bells, share it on your social media. And we've had people sending us ideas and things they want us here to talk about. And we even have
Yep.
people that want to come on and share. And if you fall in with our value system, we're going to bring you on the show to have a good time and an open conversation. Love you guys. Love you, Drew.
Yeah, man. Love y'all too. Love you, Steve. Um, there's no words to express it.
Amen,
We
brother.
will see y'all next week for sure.
I'm gonna go heat up some food and get on our other call, bro.
I'll
I'll see
see
you.
you in 3 minutes.